No, baby, that's for somebody else. We're just gonna keep you right where you're at right now.
It doesn't matter what you think.
The Wrestling Realm presents Break It Down with Brian H.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this episode of Break It Down with Brian H. Keeping it 100. Wow, it's been a long time since I did that. This is actually episode number 255. Adding to the total of the Wrestling Realm, somewhere in like 504, 505 episodes. But today's episode I've been waiting to do for a whole year. I have my sister, the one, the only, Miss Krista B. Krista, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Like, you played the clip of me at Survivor Series at the post show conference, and it's still so surreal to me that actually happened. Like how big it got over just within the same hour, the same couple of minutes. Like how big it got on Twitter. And like your voice note that you sent me as soon as like, oh, that happened, I was just like, nah, you're gonna make me cry. And then watching you guys yesterday talk about me putting those wrestling girls in these spaces that we need to be in, like I was literally crying. Like I texted P, I was just like, yo, y'all making me cry. Like thank you so much. Like, because I'm at a point right now where sometimes I feel like, yeah, y'all see what we're doing, but sometimes I feel like we're not doing enough. We're not doing anything at all. Like I'm having those out of body moments. It's like, what am I really doing? Like, is this really working? Is this really worth it? And then I see the tweets and I see like, the comments and the compliments from you guys. And I'm just like, okay, maybe we are doing something. Although it doesn't feel like it yet for me personally, I still see it. So I'm good. I'm really good.
Well, I told you in the voice note, I'm gonna tell you right here, I'm so proud of you. We talk about this family
Yeah.
in this wrestling world, and I've said this over and over again. People probably are tired of hearing me saying, but I don't give a darn. This is a family that I've always wanted. I look back, for me personally, like in high school, I remember always like wishing I had like my clique. I saw people with their cliques, and then you see people who like grow up and some of them still hang together, some of them don't. But it's like I'll take it taking me 35 years to find my clique. And I say 35 because going back to last year at your anniversary party, like that was like the solidification, right? And to see you there, I mean, what a year this has been, right?
Been a
Eh,
whole
you
oh my God.
Yeah, like you was one of you and your co-host was one of the last people, shout out to Queen PR,
Shout out
that
Queen PR.
that I saw before I walked backstage at WrestleMania. And then ironically, when I came back out, I remember like y'all was like I don't know if you remember seeing me, but like I'm like glanced, I was like, wait, y'all got closer to the floor. Because I was rushing trying to see Austin. And then, obviously we hung together that whole weekend, and to see where we've come. I will tell this story. I'll never forget 6:00 in the morning that Thursday.
Was it 6 a.m.? I don't think it was 6 a.m.
It was like 6:50. It was late. It was early because
it was early. It had to be like 7, 8-ish. It wasn't 6 because I know I wasn't up at 6. I know I wasn't up at 6.
You know, because see, your grind is the only thing that would have woken you up that early. It was close to 7, maybe.
Yeah, it had to be like 7 because when I called you, it had to be around 7 something, not 6.
All right. Well, I remember I was like rolling over. And you was like, bro, you going to the presser? I'm like, I got to be over there at 9. Yo, well, I think you should probably come. Well, come with me. Okay, you say come with you. Now it's a difference because you're saying like, look, like let's get in this space. And I remember like kind of like, all right, wait to see you. You gonna go take care of it. I'm gonna like kind of drag my feet. I went and got some breakfast that I never ate. I spilled my coffee because when you called me again, it was like, bro, I need you. I got Becky. I got this one. I was like, all right, I'm trying to hurry up. And I'm like I said, spilling my coffee. Then if you remember, I'm trying to find the place.
Yeah,
I was
you
all
on the other side. You ended up on
yeah.
the other side.
And so, that weekend, just to see you do your thing, but for me personally, to be able to like stand there and hold the camera for you. that was a moment. It was a moment that I could appreciate. And I just remember like, I was like, man, I remember when you first came on Break It Down with Brian H. I mean, I was still using Google Hangouts at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And I tell P, she's the first person I ever used StreamYard with. It bothers me when I look at the video, but it don't. But it's like still that StreamYard bug because I hadn't paid for it yet. But it's like we've been doing this so long in the grind. I remember just sitting at Johns Hopkins, scrolling down my timeline, seeing those wrestling girls. Like, wait a minute, those wrestling girls, wait, that sound dope. Okay, 2 black women that talking wrestling. Oh wait, this is good, and I like instantly became a fan. I always say like the Dana Brooke episode and the Power Couple episode, so many that I just remember listening to, and now like I said, to see like this family we have established and collaborating so much. But when I sat here Saturday and I looked at the TV, I was like, I'm gonna turn on the presser. And I because obviously I knew y'all was going, right? Like we had talked. I knew y'all was gonna be there. And so of course I see Queen PR in her signature blazer. And I was like, oh,
she's not gonna go anywhere without a blazer now. Okay.
Yeah.
She's gonna wear a blazer.
So I'm sitting there like snapping photos. And I get there and I'm like, okay, all right, I'm watching. And man, when Bianca came up, I said, I know for a fact. I knew there was no way, there was no chance in hell you wasn't gonna get a question there. And then shout out to brother Brandon, the guy who gifted us these belts. He's texted me, your girl Krista B. I said, yeah. They taking care of business. And like I said, I'm just proud of you. I know I went on like a 5-minute rant about it.
It's fine.
But I'm proud of you. I'm happy that and see how it all worked out, because we was trying to get this show done before.
We were trying to do this before Survivor Series, actually.
And I said, that's all right. We'll just throw it in. You're gonna be there. It's gonna be even better. I didn't know it was gonna be like this, what we about to get into, but it had like that. It's so many layers to that, right? You talk about storytelling. It had to be you there. It had to be Bianca. Like anybody else would have been fine, but just knowing y'all bond and relationship, it had to be y'all two. Like you asked the question, because with that solidified was you have y'all breaking through glass ceilings. I remember I texted P. I said, "Yo, from my viewpoint, y'all the only black media in there."
We were the only 2 black females in there, and then Issa, she made the third, person of color in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another young lady behind us who made the 4th woman in the room.
Wow.
In a room full of men, like probably about like 15, 20
now,
men.
was there any black men in there?
Huh?
No. That's
only 2 black people.
Right. Never not to discredit.
Besides Byron.
Right. And not to discredit the fact that, being the only black women, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
we're the only 2 black people.
That's also significant, But and this is just the beginning of many. I'm super excited. Rumble, WrestleMania. This is gonna be. We're gonna do this, right? Let's make this happen.
We're manifesting hit all 4. It. I'm fasting right now, so I'm gonna actually document and journal everything from day 1 to day 31. I'm definitely doing a fast because there's a lot that I don't want to go into 2023 the same way I am right now in 2022.
Lord knows,
definitely going higher. Definitely going bigger, and that means I got to let some things go. Definitely going to leave some things in 2022. That's what I'm going to do. So, yeah, I know for a fact, it's been confirmed for me so many times. Like God is just like, I heard you. It's already confirmed. Like, just keep doing what you're doing. That is definitely going to work out for me. So, like it's gonna work out for the family, for the family, for the wrestling family, for our individual families. It's gonna work out in everybody's favor because that's just what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and like I said, these past months, when I tell you the roller coaster, you could whichever way you want to look at it, could have been the best for me or the worst. But you've been somebody who's been, very influential in my life, and somebody that I truly appreciate. And I just want to give you your flowers right here live on air or live to tape. Just let you know I appreciate you and I love you, because it's been a true blessing. And like I said, to be able to celebrate y'all, y'all just celebrate 4 years
4 years. Thank you
being
for coming, and I love you as well. Definitely.
it was so much fun, and just to see, like, everybody, like, turn out and give y'all flowers because this is not easy.
It's
It
not.
it's not
Not.
easy.
Like the scheduling, the finding topics to talk about, to try to keep things fresh and new, to try to figure out different ways to reach people who are not into wrestling, to even trying to like get yourself back into something, although like you work for, but like giving yourself grace enough to know that you
Mhm.
need this break, and knowing that if people are really true for you and going to stand by you, they're going to be there when you get back. Like there's plenty of times, and me and P have discussed this on air, different podcasts, even on our own podcast, where I was like, hey, you have to give yourself some type of grace. Like you don't want to sit and burn yourself out and then that's it. Like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, we didn't do this, we didn't do that, this, that, and third. Now nobody likes us. We're losing followers. I'm like, girl, I had to tell him, like, hey, if they're really riding for us, if we put out an announcement, hey, we're taking our break, because usually after our party, we'll take a break.
Mhm.
This is the first time we haven't taken a break.
Yeah.
And I feel like because we just have this new surge of energy that it's okay for us not to take one. I think we also took one like in July. So
Right,
we usually
yeah.
take 2 breaks a year, but now that we have this new surge of energy and now that Triple H got us at the edge of the floor, like there's no room for taking a break because we don't know what's gonna happen, who's gonna do what.
And that's the thing, like, you look at Monday night and Friday nights are a party on the group chat.
Yes,
You
like
know? It's a
it
party.
really is. It really, really is. And that's what I love about it. Like it's fun and it's fresh again.
Mhm.
Wrestling as a whole. So now we have a lot to talk about, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. We have a lot to talk about
Yeah,
instead of trying to like pull a rabbit out of a hat, a really, really, really deep hat who don't want to be caught yet. Like
Mhm.
it's more fun now.
Yeah, and that's the beauty about wrestling because it's so much that, you can go into and you can talk about, which we're
Mhm.
going to do real quick. I just want to let the people know that if you out and you're going to an event, and you're using SeatGeek to buy your tickets, use the code Wrestling Realm to save $20 off your purchase. Just
Listen,
use
please use that code because we're in inflation and $20 is a lot right now.
facts.
$20 is a lot. And we know the holidays is coming up and we know everybody wants to sit and buy these gifts and stuff. So use the SeatGeek code, use Wrestling Realm, make sure you get that $20 off, and that $20 can go to the food and stuff that you're probably going to buy at these arenas and these events. So make sure you use Wrestling Realm for SeatGeek.
There you go. There you go. See this? I mean, y'all know that's what Krista B do. Y'all should already know that because y'all should be following her by now. This ain't her first time in the wrestling realm,
And
whether it's
it won't
been
be my last.
facts. you know. But we here to talk about vintage Survivor Series. Now, on the Breaking Through Glass Ceilings podcast, which I host, and Krista B shared her professional story, which also included those wrestling girls, because
Mhm.
we take our wrestling serious and we
We
take our
do.
craft of podcasting. But she also talked about being, the hostess with the mostest of the coastess. But when you talked about Survivor Series there. By the way, go and Break It Through Glass Ceilings. Find that episode with Krista. I promise you will enjoy it. And also go to foryourwear.com, buy those Wrestling Girls t-shirt, buy
Absolutely.
a Break It Through Glass Ceilings t-shirt. I actually got two. I got the pink shirt and I got the gray shirt.
You know what's crazy? I have a white regular t-shirt and then I have the pink tank. And I feel like I
Uh-huh.
had a gray tank, but I don't know what my gray tank is. And I'm like, who's stealing my clothes? Like, who's stealing my clothes?
Wow.
So
Well,
now I gotta get a new one. And I'm
since I
definitely
had
gonna
the
re up for your wear, like your clothing. The wrestling club, definitely need a wrestling club shirt
Mhm.
or a hoodie. Y'all know me. I need some Sasha and Naomi stuff. Shout out to Naomi. Her birthday was a few days ago. So
Yeah.
happy birthday to her.
Me and the kids got the Sasha one.
Yes, and I love that Sasha one. Like that
Yeah.
Sasha one is dope. So yes, I
Mhm.
definitely need. So please make sure you go to For Your Wear, support us, also support Blue from
Yeah.
the tag. He's definitely doing everything. He's grinding out here and he's making sure that everybody clothes and shirts and things, especially for wrestling events,
Exactly.
are at your service, at your leisure. So please
And
make
he
sure.
got more colors. You don't have to just get black. You don't have to get the typical black shirt. You can get lots of colors. Like I said, y'all shirt last year I had in gray, but the brother then came down about 50 pounds. So I had to get a new shirt, and then I was like, I had to get the gray one again, It's different logo, different style,
Different
but
logo, different style.
but I'm an OG fan, so I needed the old one.
Yes.
But yeah,
And I'm
let's talk.
thinking about coming out with more quotes too, because I still have
You
the
have
Attitude
to.
Era F'd Us Up sweater.
Yes. Yeah.
I have it.
It was one episode. I can't remember. It was so long ago, but I was listening to it. I was like, yo, I might have texted you. I was like, yo, you just had another quote. Like, I forgot
I
what
wrote
it
them
was.
down. Like I wrote one about it was
Okay.
in the Sasha Banks episode, and I was like, yeah, heels cry too, and I'm gonna put that on the shirt.
Yeah. But so Survivor Series, it's your favorite pay-per-view.
It is.
Why? This isn't a condescending why. It's more so the people can know. And if you're listening, you didn't see that she just pointed to her poster of The Rock, the great one.
The great one. Yes, he debuted 96, Madison Square Garden. And just seeing him, like I've always I looking back in hindsight, I can say that, I already knew what type of man I was attracted to. And The Rock was definitely that man. And then going throughout the years and watching Survivor Series and watching the debuts and things that happen at Survivor Series. Like I love when they started to do the invasions, when they split the brands. Like when they did the invasions, like if SmackDown invaded Raw or Raw invaded SmackDown, like that's just some things that would get you hyped. Like that would get me so hyped. Like I was kind of disappointed that it didn't happen. But at the same time, I'm like, how would it have happened if we brought War Games into the picture? Like that doesn't make any sense for an invasion to happen. But I just love the excitement of it. Like we have so many debuts. It's ridiculous. Like November 22nd, 1990, The Undertaker debuts. Right? November 22nd.
TED Talk Taker.
November 22nd. What is it? 2020, 2021? No, 2020. Undertaker kind of retires. Like that was like his last,
Yeah.
And it's funny too, because my nephew is born on November 22nd.
Wow.
And I'm just like, oh, okay. Well, Cameron, love you. Auntie got to go over here, but And I'm just like that. For it to come full circle for Taker, starting at Survivor Series and ending at Survivor Series, and then rewatching the Shield debut when they came through the crowd and beat up Ryback. Watching Sting, who swore up and down he would never be in WWE ever in life.
Yeah.
Debut in 2014. And Team Cena wins, because Dolph Ziggler was a sole survivor. I believe Mick Foley debut, Kurt Angle debut. Like so many people that we watch and grew up on and literally have soared and have, amazing careers, whether they're still in their factions, whether they're, individual wrestlers, they have amazing careers. And I feel like Survivor Series plays a major part in that. A major part in that.
You brought up some, and I want to touch on some. One of them I want to get into is Sting. So let me ask you this, because I didn't find out till this year that a lot of New Yorkers didn't watch WCW.
Yeah, I was one of them.
Okay, I see right here in Baltimore.
I knew who Sting was, and it's not like it didn't come on. It came on up here. Like we had the channel. It came on up here, but I could speak for me and my friends. We were. I don't know what words he used, because at the time Ratchet wasn't out, but that was us. Like we was more rowdy, we was more raunchy, we was more like we want to go around and say suck it. We want to go throw, like we was literally saying suck it and throwing middle fingers and if you smell and everything like that. And for some WCW, for me, it wasn't given that for me, but for my friend, he would be like, no, you gotta go. Like he was I don't know if I'm allowed to say his name. The one who you don't mention in wrestling anymore.
You can say it here. Say what you want to talk about.
He was a Chris Benoit fan before Benoit even came to WWE. And he would be talking about, Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero and
real quick, you brought up Benoit. You ever read this book? Oh no, not that one. You ever read this book, Ring of Hell?
No. Is that about Benoit?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Remind me next time I see you. It's funny. This would be the third. So I gave your co-host one because we was talking about it, and I said, "Yo, you gotta read this book." I'm gonna give you that book. It
Okay.
might. I'm not gonna say it's gonna change your mind how you feel about him. It just offers a different perspective about the whole situation, like some of the like leading events and how he was perceived and his
To be
demeanor.
honest, I don't feel, and people may hate me and
Talk about
whatever,
it because
but
I think I know where you're going with this.
I always stand by my opinion. I feel like if we're gonna separate church and state, Chris Benoit in the ring is somebody completely different from Chris Benoit and what he did outside of the ring. You understand? Like, yes, they're saying that one happened because of the other, and it's a tragedy. Like, we can never mention Nancy Benoit without
That's the
knowing.
sad part.
Right, we
She
can never
deserves
mention
like
Nancy,
her
and
right in
she
the Hall of
deserves
Fame.
her own lane. She literally created her own lane for these women. She literally she had her own career and stuff before Chris Benoit came along. And it's sad that we can't really mention her without the whole, oh well, but she was killed by her husband. We get that, we understand that, and it's tragic. I'm never gonna sit here and be like, well, he was mentally ill and this, that, and third. That's not me. Wrong is wrong, because an innocent boy lost his life as well.
Yeah.
Your son lost his life. You left your youngest son, you took his life, and you left your oldest son to be in this world by himself without any parents or any siblings to grow old with. So that right there, definitely not okay in my book. However, watching Benoit's matches, watching him fight in the ring, watching him go above and beyond for the company that he was fighting, everybody like claws and amazing, like ring general.
Oh,
in my opinion, definitely a ring general in my opinion. So am I mad at the fact that he did what he did? Absolutely. I honestly feel like if it was that bad, try to seek some help. And at that time, times were different then. Like talking about going to therapy and all those stuff was not the way to do it, but that's never a way to do it either.
I'll just say this, because obviously we ain't gonna spend that much more time on Benoit.
All right.
I'll just leave it this. I don't think that was Chris Benoit who did what he did.
I've heard that. I heard it wasn't.
And I ain't even gonna say like, physically. I still question that. There's like theories about the phone call and stuff that was erased, but I don't think he was even himself. And but like I said, I'm gonna give you that book. You can check it out if you want. You can see it's just a different perspective. You got the Rock's book?
No.
All right, so I gotta read it.
I've been trying since I've been trying to get every Rock book since I was small. Like I tell you, yes. Like I was like, Ma, I used to tell my mom, like, Ma, I want this book. No, I was like, Ma, I want this Rock book. She was like, okay, maybe later, whatever. Like every time my birthday came around, I want to go to the WWE store. I want to go. Never. So I've never experienced what it was like in a WWE store, especially around the time for my birthday. And I'm just like, I could have met a wrestler and changed my life, and I could be sitting here as a wrestler right now instead of like a podcaster who talks about wrestling. But this is fun too. I don't like pain.
Hey, look, right. That's why shout out to Jay Bougie. I usually don't get involved in matches, but in that
I don't know if you saw my comment yesterday. I said if I was there and you did that, you would have got hit with my shoe. I went right in there. Well, right in the head.
You got to keep the family together. You got to keep the family right. So by any means necessary, I was gonna make sure he left the Bronx with that win. But I mean, New York been good to me all year, so why turn on him?
You're right.
It's funny because I'm staying out of this one because he's gonna take on Chaz the Don of pure ignorance. It's Baltimore versus New York, and
First of
crazy.
All, so Chaz was in. I don't know if you heard on Tuesday when Chaz was in the group, and Ron was like, "Yo, Chaz, I need you to kick Jay Bougie's ass for me, or whatever." And I'm just like, I'm gonna go ahead and put myself on mute. and go put my phone down somewhere because this ain't my beef. I ain't got nothing to do with
And
this.
here's the crazy part. So Chaz used to be my daughter's recess coach. So and I shot his wedding.
Oh wow.
So it's like, he's like, well, we got a bond, bro. I was like, I know, but I'm gonna stay.
A rock in a hard place.
I'm gonna stay out of it. That's all I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stay out of it.
Let them stay out of it when everybody publicly seeing you go team bougie. But you are on social media team bougie.
But see,
now that Chaz is involved, child.
I'm gonna let them. I'm gonna let them do them. Let them settle it like men. But yeah, with Survivor Series, because this is what we do when we talk. Sting. Now you said I know you was familiar with WCW.
Yeah, I knew who Sting were. I knew the key players in WCW. I knew Sting. I know Hogan. Unfortunately, I know. I'm not going to sit here and act like I was never a Hogan fan in the ring or whatever. Like when I first got introduced to Hulk Hogan, I didn't even know he was a wrestler. Because I got introduced to Hogan when he was in the movie.
Did you read his book?
No, and that one I'm not going to. So don't even.
That's why. No. It makes sense. I'm gonna send you. No, I'm not.
No, you're not.
Because you ain't gonna read the quotes. I got it in my phone.
Back. Return to sender.
I put it like this. This is the reason why I don't hate him. Once I read the book first. So when I saw the timeline, everything, it made me not hate him.
But timeline or no timeline, racial slurs are racial slurs. Racial epithets is racial epithets. Like
it's wrong, but I think
wrong,
you can be
and at the same
born
time,
again.
That's mostly your fan base. So if you can say that about one of your friends and his son, hello, were we not talking about The Rock? And you can say that. And then, like, you was in this man's life since he was about 6-7 years old. You're gonna turn around and call him and his dad the N-word and all this other, like, no, that's like you stabbed me in the back and then you twisted it to make sure that I was dead. Like, no, I don't. That's not. It's not coming back from that for me.
Yeah, I understand. Respect. But
Sting, yes, I knew who the key players were in WCW. I knew who Hogan was. I knew who Goldberg was. I knew who Sting was. I knew who Randy Savage was. Like, I knew who they were, but like I said, at the time, WCW was never on my radar. Like, my brother.
It's crazy you saying, like, because we were 2 years apart, 2-3 years apart.
2-3 years apart, yeah.
And like, but that's a lot of time in wrestling years. Because my first introduction to Savage and Hogan was in the WWF. Like, I have vivid memories as a child watching, my goodness, my daughter's first wrestling heartbreak, SummerSlam 2021. You know the story.
Yeah. Oh, baby.
This one I learned how much of a professional you was. Side note. I know we keep going side notes, but I learned how much of a professional you was by the way you talked to Becky, knowing what she had did before.
And she tried to rub it in my face. And she was like, "Oh, you didn't like that? I like the fact that you were back." That was
man. That was a PR statement to the fullest. Not your co-host, but like that wasn't a you handled it very well.
It wasn't a hell no, bitch. What are you talking about?
Right. It wasn't a PR. It wasn't a Those Wrestler Girls PR nightmare.
Those Wrestler Girls. Yeah, like no, but I mean, you got to keep it professional at the end of the day because and
she's your girl. Look, she's on your wall too.
Becky's my girl. I've been a Becky fan since day one. Never.
Side note, y'all check out that episode because they did a phenomenal job covering Becky Lynch's career. Also the Sable episode. Because that was the one, I had requested a couple years ago.
And I agreed with you. And look how long it took us to do it.
I know,
somebody felt that she wasn't an icon or a legend or whatever. And I'm like, girl, what are you talking about?
I really enjoyed how y'all covered her career. And like I said, this is what made me a fan of the show, just the way y'all covered women's wrestling. I remember like in 2017 when I was working at WSU, a lot of the women's wrestlers I work with, the Kiera Hogans, the Britt Bakers, the Faye Jacksons, they were all on our roster. And I always think, like, I told my friend Blake, shout out to Blizz, who was at Jobber Slam rapping Mia Yemen. I said, bro, like, can you imagine if those wrestling girls was out during the height of the WSU era when we was there? Because they would have had all this access and elevated these ladies on a platform that was neat. Like y'all don't realize like y'all platform was needed, you know. So like when I discovered it, I was like, oh, this is what I've been waiting for. And I remember him being a women's wrestling enthusiast, telling him about y'all. This before we even like became close, but I had told him about y'all, you know. But I know people want to, you know, like I said, I had to take that opportunity to tell people to check out all the episodes because it's literally timeless material. There's been Saturdays where I've been playing video games, binge listening to shows of y'all. But when Sting came out in 2014, Survivor Series is always that pay-per-view you get mixed up because it's right at the end of the year, and then you're like, wait, it's the year before. But what was your reaction? Were you
shit.
okay? Because I was like, I remember possibly hearing about it, but I was like trying to like stay away from the dirt sheets. And you know, for me, it was I've been waiting for this moment since 2001. But what was your reaction having a different viewer Sting? You know, he's my favorite WCW wrestler of all time.
Mine too.
Okay.
Mine too, definitely. So this was 2014. So I was 24.
Mm-hmm.
And around this time, I really wasn't watching WWE like that.
Okay.
Although I did have the network. I was like, yep, nope, I'm getting this network because I could watch all the old stuff.
Yep.
So I think it was around, so one of my friend's birthdays is always around this time. Like she just celebrated her birthday on Tuesday.
Shout out to her.
Shout out to you, Shaquana. Love you, babe. And I actually got her back into wrestling.
Nice.
So
influence.
Yes. So she literally supports and watches, and we be texting each other when we both had the network at the time. So I think I was with her for celebrating her birthday or something. And I know, y'all know me, I'm quick to pull out a phone and watch wrestling wherever I'm at. Y'all know me. Would you watching wrestling? Hold on. That's me. So I didn't even watch the whole of Survivor Series. Like that was the same Survivor Series where Brie kissed AJ for Nikki to win the Divas Championship. They had the that wasn't the one with the Lumberjill match. That was the one in 2011 that you was watching, that I was watching because you started watching it.
Yeah.
So as I'm watching, and some just said, I'm like, let me just see what's going on. And next thing I know, I didn't hear the intro or whatever. All I see is Sting come out and he points at Triple H, and Triple H is in the ring after they're beating up Dolph Ziggler. Like they're like literally whatever's left of Dolph Ziggler, they're literally just beating him up. And I was just like, oh shit, like Sting is really back. Like Sting, I'm in my head, I'm like, this is a one-off. Like we're not going to see Sting again. I'm like, for the fact that he even came, like, I'm like, the journalist in me, before I even started journalism school, was just like, what did this conversation look like? How did this contact happen between Vince and Sting? Because we all know that Sting was definitely hardcore WCW. And ever since WCW closed, we didn't see him. He was out of sight, out of mind. So for it to come to pass like this, I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Like, I need Vincent Kennedy McMahon's number right now so I know, so I can ask him, like, how did this come about? So I was very excited. I'm just like, oh my God, we getting stuff shaken up again. Especially because that's not what anybody expected to happen at all. So that happened. I was like, oh yes, gotta love wrestling.
It was definitely an amazing moment. It was something I never thought. Like you said, you don't think like, man, Sting not coming. But especially, I know a lot of people wanted to see him versus Undertaker. I never understood the appeal of that match.
I've always wanted to see that.
For real, I guess because I got the match that I would have wanted to see, not the result, but him and Triple H.
Sting and Triple H,
yeah. I never really like.
I think because back then, Attitude Era wise, where it was the Monday Night Wars, Sting was the Undertaker of WCW. Like he was dark, he was menacing, he was very, very quiet. He lurked in the shadows. He popped up and we had that with Taker.
So that's true during that era, right? But me, I was when he was doing all that, I I remember, Surfer Sting, talking Sting. So it was just like, okay, he's just going through a phase. Not, I don't want to say phase right now, but he's just like dealing with this right now. One of my favorite versions of him, honestly, is the Wolfpack. I think that just looked cool,
with the
even
red
though,
and
like,
black.
yeah, even though, like, looking at and reading his story, you see, like, he was high. But
At that time, who wasn't? The
bingo.
audience. That's it. The
Nah,
audience.
the
Maybe
kids
some
and
of them too. Shit.
yeah, but I think with him, I looked at it and I said, it wasn't appealing to me. Now, the dream match that I would get was a dud, and that was him and Bret Hart.
Oh
When
yeah.
they wrestled at Halloween Havoc, like that's probably the best worst pay-per-view because you have like all these main event potential matches, and then they all fell
And
through
none
the
of them were
cracks.
booked right.
Yeah, but we talked about Survivor Series and we talked about debuts. We have to go into this one, and that is the reason why you are a fan, and that's The Rock. What was it about Rocky Maivia that made Krista B fall in love? Because
I have no
you can see
idea.
it on Young Rock, you can see all the stories, you can read the documentaries. Nobody, he was force fed, kind of like his cousin, down everybody's throats,
Yeah.
and it
I don't
wasn't until
know. I really feel like it was an attraction thing. Like
okay,
6-year-old me is like, I like
respect.
him. I like him. Like that was
Mhm.
how even with how it was with Michael Jackson. Like I have 2 big Michael Jackson posters sitting over here that I need to hang up. And it was an attraction thing. Like Michael's voice and
Mhm.
and then his looks, like it kind of went downhill after, Bad or Dangerous or whatever. But that I still loved him. Like, so I think it was more so of an attraction thing.
Mhm.
Because yeah, he was wrestling, but I'm just like, my eyes is just on this man, like he's cute, like just going back and forth like a ping pong or like a tennis match, like wherever he went, that's where my eyes went. And I'm just like, oh my God, he's so cute. And then, he joined the Nation and the whole die Rocky die thing happened. Well, he gets injured, then joins the
Mm.
Nation. And when he comes back, then the whole die Rocky die thing comes about. And I'm just like, why do we want him to die? Like, y'all reaching, it's a bit of a
Mhm.
stretch. And then, like, once he started to get on the mic, that's when you
Okay.
became mesmerized.
Mm.
Because it's like, who sits here and calls somebody a jabroni? Come to find out, he took that from Iron Sheik.
Right, and it makes so much sense.
It makes so much sense because I don't know if Iron Sheik runs his own Twitter account, but it's the most hilarious Twitter account. Him and Dionne Warwick's
Mhm.
the most 2 hilarious Twitter accounts I follow. Okay. If y'all not following them, follow them. And then to see like how charismatic he got, like how he was able to captivate a crowd, whether he's a heel or a face, with the eyebrow and the if you smell and jabroni and do you like pie and the impersonation. One of my favorite Rock
Mhm.
moments is the impersonations of Triple H, Stone Cold, Kane, Rikishi, Taker, and Kurt Angle. When he did
Yeah.
that promo in the back with I think it was Kevin
Leading the
Kelly.
Armageddon 2000
Yes,
for
that's
the
one of my favorite ones. Like I know that verbatim, and it's bad.
wow.
I
You
know
gotta
that
do that on y'all Patreon, which people can subscribe to for just $1.
facts. Subscribe to our Patreon. Maybe I might say. Maybe I'll do it as a TikTok. How people be
Okay.
having the.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do it
Oh,
as a TikTok.
you
Who
have
knows?
to
Subscribe to
go
our
viral.
TikTok. So yeah, I and then it's
I
just
wonder.
like
I'm gonna ask the Rock a question. Rock, do you think she know it?
it doesn't matter if she doesn't.
Look, if he responds to that,
We need the Rock to acknowledge me, okay?
right? I
Because
mean,
I've been for the longest.
Kaz called you the resident Rock
He did, and
expert fan.
I started to listen to Masked Man when you tagged me about his comment about the Rock. I'm like, you know what? I'm too tired, and I don't want to text him and curse him out yet.
So what's funny is though that was the show. So I produced the Monday one, and Kern produced the Thursday one, and I'm sitting there, and you was the first person that came to mind.
Once you sent me that tweet, I was like,
said,
what the fuck
"Oh,
did
Krista
Mask
go
say?
get him," and then I said, I need this quote, and I gotta send this to Krista right now. I was like, "What?"
I was like, did he really just? I mean, I can probably understand by that quote, like not him bashing The Rock or whatever. I can definitely understand why he feels like The Rock shouldn't interject or interfere with that. But at the same time, like going back to our episode, those wrestling girls being featured on The Masked Man, which I need to check out. Going back to that, it's like you're saying that you're the head of this table. You had your uncle and your father come out and put the lays on you after you beat up Jey and Jimmy in Hell in a Cell, to prove that you're the head of the table. But it's like you skipped over the main part, the main person who was carrying this, who's really the real head of the table, who's came from High Chief Peter Maivia, who's his grandfather. Like you skipped over The Rock. Like you got to have some type of permission to really be saying this.
Ooh.
And don't get me wrong, we know I'm Team Roman all day.
I know.
But respect is respect.
That's why we need
they're a family of respect and they're a family of honor. So you don't go running around talking about you're the head of the table this, head of the table that, and you don't got clearance.
So let's manifest this right now. We're in California.
We're definitely in California.
It's night 2, WrestleMania. It's about 8:30 their local time on that Sunday.
So out here it's probably like around
11:30. We're at the presser. It's Krista B. It's The Rock. He just fell short to Roman. What are you asking him?
I don't think what I'm gonna ask him I can say on this thing.
Oh my goodness! Like, why would they put the? Oh man!
No, I would ask on the professional side if we're press conference, Rock is there. That's even if The Rock will do a press conference, right? Because when they said that we're gonna have the winners of Elimination Chamber, I'm thinking we're gonna have all of them. It was only Bianca and Becky, and then just Sami and Paul Heyman. So, what I would ask is, one, does this solidify Roman as the head of the table, or is there more left? Is there unfinished? Is this finished? Is this story finished or unfinished? And when will we actually solidify who's the real head of the table?
Yeah. Wow.
That's what I would ask. Besides, y'all thought my nerves were bad when Bianca, when I asked Bianca the question. I'm about to be shaking the mic like this.
You'll be fine because you're supposed to be in these spaces. This is where you belong. But it is like, I mean, I had to hold the Zoom up like this for 10 minutes, and I'm looking at Cody Rhodes and Shoemaker, and Cody's sitting there, and this is the funny part, right? He's
Cody's
like
bruised up,
and he's like, yeah, and then this happened. Like he's like giving me like eye-to-eye contact as he's looking at Dave. Then he come to me, it's like, and it doesn't matter. Everything I said, it doesn't matter. Everybody knows Triple H is my favorite wrestler. And I'm like, and then afterwards he goes, so did you have a camera? I'm like, no, this is the voice recorder. I didn't know if I was supposed to be looking at you. I see, because then they had all these WWE documentary cameras in there, and they're all like behind me, right? And I'm sitting there like, and guess what? Again, right? Not too many of us in the room. And this is where I will always appreciate a David Shoemaker, saying, oh yeah, come on, and he was like, man, I'm so happy to do this with you. And, shout out to my former manager, Cassius. I think me and Cassius may have been only Black people in that room, or maybe definitely one of, two of few, and me and him worked together at ESPN, and coming from that grind to be backstage at WrestleMania, it's like,
that's the goal for those wrestling girls. Backstage, all access everywhere for those wrestling girls for California.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let me jump in the ring. I want to do a shoot. I want to do a shoot.
I thought did you get in the ring at access? I know you sat on it.
I sat on it. I didn't get in it.
I thought okay. I was like, yeah, hit.
I didn't get in it.
But and like this is how me and Krista B are, ladies and gentlemen. Like if she know, like if I'm good, she good. If she good, I'm good. That's how we are. That's how we roll.
Absolutely.
I want to stay with The Rock as we talk about Survivor Series. Because the 2 years later, talked about the 96 Survivor Series, his debut. 2 years later, he would win the WWE Championship. And I know you said you wasn't really fond about that, but for the people who didn't listen to Breaking Through Glass Ceilings, let them know how you really feel.
About him winning or the way that he won?
Well, most of the way he won.
I mean, wait, this wasn't the I Quit match.
No, that was that was Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
this was when he won the first championship, the redo of the Montreal Screwjob, and he hugs Vince and Shane.
Oh yes. When he's
that's what me and Jay Bougie got that spot from. I was like, in my head when he told me what we was doing, I said, "Yo, we got to do the hug."
Yes, when he screwed over Austin.
No, Foley.
Austin?
They screwed Austin earlier.
Foley, right?
Yeah, because Foley was with Vince.
Foley was with Vince.
Calling him Dad.
That's when Foley won. That's when I remember it. I feel like that was around the time when DX came and let Foley win because that was the only time he was world champion in WWF at the time.
Well, he had 3 reigns, but that was his first one. But that would happen January.
Would DX come in and help in Foley?
Yeah, that was in January '99.
Okay, I knew it was okay. So yes, okay. So this feud between Mick Foley, Mankind, and The Rock, one of the best feuds ever, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I think any feud that Mick Foley was in was definitely good. And sometimes it pains me that when you ask people who are their top 5 wrestlers, Mick Foley is never on their list. Mick Foley is definitely on one of my top 5.
Don't tell Britt Waters that either, because she is a Mick Foley fan as well.
But it's the truth. Like, how many people have you spoken to and they'll say the basics? Taker, Kane, no, not Kane. Taker, Austin, Rock, Michaels, Triple H. Like, me is definitely Rock, Mankind, Taker. And this is just for the men of that era. Austin, So, watching in disgust. Okay. I was happy he was champion, but I was so disgusted. I was just like, why would you join the corporation? Why would you this? Like, why? What? Like, that was the question that kept going through my mind. Like, why? And I remember my brother, for some reason, because he used to literally tape every pay-per-view. We used to tape it because he wasn't going to pay again to watch it.
Exactly. That's how.
I want to know where them tapes is at, though. I really would like to know. But anyway, I remember my brother going, oh, like, and I'm just like, but why? Like, why would he join Vince and Shane and become corporate Rock? And it was just, I was so disgusted. But looking back at it now, I'm just like, those are some power moves. Because once The Rock decided to, flip on them or leave them and go, with Shawn Michaels and all the other stuff, whatever, it made sense. Like it gave him more depth as a character.
Yeah.
It gave him more reason to speak. It gave him more reason to be the heel that we love him as. Like, he was a face heel because people loved him and hated him at the same time. Like, he was definitely a tweener at that time. But I was just so upset. But then, like, the feud, like I said, the feuds with him and Mick Foley, like, I still can't bring myself to watch the I Quit match. 9-year-old me, not at all. I had nightmares for like a week.
Oh, wow.
Like, I had to sleep in my grandmother's room, and every time I closed my eyes, I would just I'll hear Mick Foley telling Rock, go to hell, and I'll see, like, him laying face first in his blood, like, and he's breathing really hard and stuff. Like, it freaks me out. And I have the 3 Disc Rock DVD, like, from his career, and that's the only match I will literally skip over, and I watch everything else.
Wow. Yeah, that was the 99 Rumble was actually one of my favorites. So I've seen it quite a few times, but obviously hindsight, 2020 is difficult to watch now.
Now it's difficult to watch then. Shit.
True. Let's talk 2001 Survivor Series. Winner take all. You got essentially you got The Rock and Austin on opposite sides. Rock leading the WWE, Austin leading the Alliance.
The Alliance.
What did you feel about the invasion as a whole? And this is
pre-invasion, like pre
knowing what you know about the business now. Like at that time,
this was pre kayfabe,
yeah.
no kayfabe. Got it. One, I was just like, I knew Austin was a flopper, flip flopper. Knew that. Rock staying true, like, you know. So I was happy about The Rock staying with WCW. I mean, with WWE. Sorry. And I loved it because one, it added more layers to the Rock Austin feud. That, you know, we just didn't think it could get any bigger than, you know, Austin tossing Rock's belt over into the water, or Austin bringing a beer truck, and, you know, or, you know, it just added more of a layer to their feud. So with Rock leading the team WWE and Austin leading Team Alliance, it was just like, it was real nail biting, because you have two of the biggest stars in the company who we already seen goes head to head, but now they're carrying other people on their back to go with them, to go to battle with them. So it was real nail biting, like, who's actually gonna win, who's actually staying, who actually can sit here and say they are taking it all. So yeah, I was just like, well, we already know I was definitely always going to vote for The Rock. Like, that was never, I've never gone against The Rock, just like I never go against Roman in the Bloodline, or Roman when he's in the Shield, or Roman when he's by himself. I just don't do it. Like, so I'm just like, oh, child, I can't wait to see this. I can't wait to see this play out. I can't, you know. And then given like how the company is now and seeing it, I'm just like, oh, okay. Now it makes more sense for it to go down the way that it go down. Because once they announced like Shane bought WCW and Stephanie bought ECW, I'm just like, how in the world? To be honest, I thought that they went through that forbidden door.
Oh, okay.
I thought that they went through that forbidden door at first. I'm just like, they're merging like that. If it would have went down that way, that would have been the only reason why I was going to watch WCW.
Got you.
And hell, maybe even ECW. That would have been the only reasons why.
Yeah, I ain't have access to ECW, so like I knew nothing about it. Before we get into this year's Survivor Series, we get ready, you know, close out soon. Do you ever go back and look at like some of the old stuff, and is there any of them that stick out to you? I'm
the type of person, once I watch a pay-per-view, that's it. I don't go back to watch it. But because you started this last week, when you started watching 2011's Survivor Series, I'm like, let me watch it. Let me watch along with y'all, because I was listening to y'all on Wrestling Realm.
Appreciate it.
Of course. And this was the Rock Cena never ever gonna happen again thing. And I'm just like, but it happened twice. It happened 3 times.
It made sense. Everybody says that
at the time, for it to say never ever. Whoa, they never teamed up again. Nope, I'm lying. They teamed up at Mania. At the time, yeah, I guess never ever.
That's actually my first WrestleMania.
That one? Oh wow. And you wow. Damn, I wonder where my Mania tickets are. Shoot.
Yeah, the second ticket is from WrestleMania 33. I wish I would have.
That was in New Orleans.
Nah, Orlando.
Okay.
Yeah, I wish I would have got a plaque for that one.
That's dope though. Yeah, so I really don't go back and watch it, but like the ones that I do remember vaguely now, I'm just like, it's like, because you watch so many pay-per-views, everything kind of like, it's like when we was in pandemic, all the days merged.
Yeah,
that's how I feel about, you know, the pay-per-views. They all merge. Like I can say one thing, I'm like, that ain't it. That was for this pay-per-view. It just seemed like it was for that pay-per-view. So I really don't like what's sticking out to me right now in my mind. Didn't even happen at Survivor Series. It happened at Backlash. And that's Triple H and Cactus Jack fight at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, that was Royal Rumble.
That was Rumble? I thought that was Backlash.
Rumble 2000.
No, that was Rumble 2000. You're right. See? I'm like, that didn't even happen at Survivor Series. So yeah, a lot. I would definitely start going back to watch him now because it could be an escape. Like that's why I started watching old Raw and SmackDown during Attitude Era because it was an escape for me when I was just like, you know what, I don't want to be bothered with the world. I just want to, enjoy what life was like before we got to be adults and in this ghetto world of adulthood. This is the most dangerous and unsafe hood I've been in.
Talk about it.
Adulthood. And I'm going to go back to a time when I was in childhood where it was more safe and, fun. And I didn't have to worry about none of this ghetto stuff.
Now, this year, what was looking at the pay-per-view, because I know you're going to do your sound off, so I want people to tune into that. So we're not going to give away everything. So make sure y'all tune in on Friday at 3 p.m.
3 p.m. on Those Wrestling Girls, live streaming on Those Wrestling Girls Twitch account with Cristina Contreras.
Yes, shout out to Christina. What match, if you had to choose to introduce somebody who's not a wrestling fan, which match would you have chosen?
The Women's War Games match.
Okay.
That's easy.
I mean, you could have said the men's. I mean, you really could have said Ronda.
Because the fact that I would not say the Ronda match. Okay. Think like really the reason why I would choose the women's match is because one, Those Wrestling Girls stands for women, empowering women and lifting women up. And we stand, that's what we stand for. Like we do this, our platform is speaking about women. And the fact that these women are continuously in war games. Yeah. Dakota Kai and Io Sky, 4 war games apiece. 4. This is Becky's first one. Her first one back, especially from an injury. This is Bianca's, I think, Bianca and Rhea's second one. Alexa and Asuka. No, Asuka was in one, I believe. Alexa's first one. Bayley's first one. So it's just like the fact that these women have so much free range to do things like we as I guess we can call ourselves wrestling historians now because we grew up watching. You grew up in the 80s watching. I grew up in the 90s watching.
I didn't grow up in the 80s. I'm born in 86.
But you was watching in 88, 89.
I was watching in 86.
That's what I mean. Like
my memory serves in the 90s.
In the 90s. Okay, so we grew up in the 90s watching. We're 4 years apart, by the way. If you're 86, my sister is 86 too, so we're 4 years apart. Grew up in the 90s watching it. We would have never thought that the women would be in these situations or these type of matches where it's just like, yo, they are really sitting here doing what the men do. It would have never, like, you couldn't tell 8-year-old me or 9-year-old me that one day we're going to see the women having an I Quit match, having Iron Women matches, having Falls Count Anywhere matches, having Hell in a Cell matches, having tables, ladders, and chairs matches, having Money in the Bank match. Like, you could have never told me that. And I'd have been like, yeah, you're lying. Okay. So I would definitely introduce anybody who's not a wrestling fan to that women's match. To see Becky jump off the top of the cage and do a leg drop on the table.
Yeah, facts.
What? Mind-boggling. Okay.
So Survivor Series, you was there. I gotta ask you your perspective before we get out of here. The atmosphere when the hug around the world, I should say the hug felt around the world. What was the atmosphere like?
Insane. Definite. I don't even know if I recorded it. I feel like I recorded it, but I don't know. I don't know if I put my phone down, but was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, like it was just so insane. Like everybody was in unison cheering because it was just like when you saw the backstage communication between Sami and Roman and how Roman hugged him and he stopped smiling. And I'm like, yo, Roman don't trust Sami. Somebody's finna turn tonight. And then to see Sami sitting there with so much confusion and conflict on his face, like, am I really going to sit here and turn on my best friend? And I'm in the audience like, Sami, turn on him because he turned on you and put you out. He injured you. He didn't care. So, and in my mind, Sami heard me say that. So yeah. So it was just amazing. Like, and everybody thought they was gonna start fighting after the misplaced super kick from Jey to Sami, and how Jey just stood over him like, "All right, bitch, I did it. What you gonna do?"
Mm-hmm.
After Sami saved him from being, in between turnbuckle and fence. So I'm just like, yo, what is happening? What is happening? And will this happen? Like, will Jey finally realize like Sami is team Usi, is team Bloodline? And then once they hugged, I was just like, oh yes. It felt good, but on another note, it felt like a turn is going to happen. Like, I feel like Sami has to get them in his pocket before he turns.
Everybody's saying that, and I'll say this: I don't want to see it happen. I think there's so much money left. There's so much money on the table. We don't need the turn.
We don't need it at all. But in the world of Vince and Kennedy McMahon, a turn would have happened. Okay,
that's true, and that's the beauty that we ain't in that world no more.
We're not in that world no more. But hey, Triple H might see something fit. Be like, hey, y'all need this to happen. We don't need it, Hunter. We don't need it.
We don't need it.
We don't need it.
Krista, let the people know where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at ms_Krista B, KRISTAB, on Instagram, ms_Krista B_ ms_Krista B, KRISTAB_. You can follow us on Those Wrestling Girls. Make sure you follow us, everyone, Those Wrestling Girls, YouTube, Patreon, Instagram, Facebook discussion group, StreamYard, Twitch, anywhere, everywhere. We are all there. That's where you can find P and myself. We drop episodes every other Monday. We just released part 2 of our Becky series, and now we're going to be working on our Alundra Blaze episode, and it's going to be so much fun because Alundra Blaze is a legend. We love Medusa, so please make sure you subscribe, and also tune in on Fridays, every Friday at 3 p.m. on our Twitch channel, Krista B Sounds Off with Christina Contreras, and make sure you tune in every Wednesday for Friends with TWG fan club.
I'm on there.
Queen PR, Brian H. Waters, CN Doll, and Justin. They'll be sitting there talking about any and everything, wrestling, non-wrestling, having fun with it. It's such a fun time to watch. So please make sure you tune in and follow us, and we'll definitely follow back.
Yeah, you come through too. That's what's always fun. You make your pop-up appearances.
I do. I was gonna make one on Wednesday, but my hair wasn't looking right. It wasn't done. I was looking crazy. Even though I tried to make it look like something before I did it, I was like, yeah, no, I can't. It's not working for me today.
No, I get it. I definitely get it. Sis, I definitely appreciate you coming through.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. This won't be your last time, like you said earlier. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure y'all subscribe to the Wrestling Realm Patreon account. Just $1 gets you exclusive access and content. And also make sure you check out our merch store, get some merch. We got some brand new shirts coming out. And then also make sure you sorry. And then make sure that when you make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. And until the next time, folks, so long, everybody.
What's up, wrestling fans? My name is The Real Dwayne Allen. This is Brian H. Waters, and we are The Wrestling Realm. And today we bring you a new show. Something smaller, but something new to the Wrestling Realm Network, that we call it now, our YouTube channel, network, whatever the case may be, man, you named it. Nevertheless, we got a new show. It is called 20 Questions, where myself and Brian H. Waters will go rapid fire and we'll answer 20 different questions about a number of different subjects. But today, we figure for those that don't know us, you can get to know the realm just a little bit better than maybe you had before. So today, I asked Brian H. Waters 20 questions so you, the fans, can kind of get to know this gentleman right here. Brian H., you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, bro. 20 questions.
Yep.
20 questions on the clock. First pro wrestling memory.
First pro wrestling memory, Hogan versus Warrior, just getting ready, being in the car with my grandfather, and him describing that we were getting ready to go home and watch WrestleMania 6.
All right. First piece of wrestling merchandise.
Oh man, that's a good one. Probably WrestleMania